Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Jim, Ben, and Sam here with you live from the Andrew Downs AKC Marketing Studio, sponsored by Revelton Distilling Company and Green Beret Realty. Guys, how's it going?
Great. Good to be back.
Absolutely. Great to see you guys. It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm. Been a hot minute since we've been on.
Yeah, it gets tough between games to get this stuff out here. I mean, podcasting is a lot of work.
Yeah, definitely.
It is, and props to you, Ben, for kind of taking over putting the outline together and content. So you're a content creator. I don't care what anybody says about you.
I guess so, but you provide a lot of the content tonight, Sam. That's just a little bit of a snippet of what might happen tonight. So
happy to do it.
It's going to be good. We've got some good film coverage. It's going to be a really good night.
Grateful for you guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So last episode, a little bit ago, recapped the first month of the season, talked about the flop rule, and it's continuing to come up. Seems like every single game we have somebody asking about it, situations that maybe it could be, couldn't be, but we know where we stand on the rule, and I think we kind of portrayed that to people that we come in contact with. So also had our good friend Casey Pelzer on and his awesome Christmas sweater.
Yes, it was.
I should have uploaded a picture he sent me recently where he looked super happy.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
We'll get him next time, though.
Yep.
Shout out to Casey. Hope you're doing good, everybody.
Absolutely.
Yep. Anything else on the recap of prior episode, guys?
I don't think so. I think we're going to talk a little bit of flop tonight. Not a lot. We've spent a lot of time on it, but I do have a video of a play that happened several times in a game we had recently, and we'll talk a little bit about it. But yeah, I think that's good, and cool. Hope you all had a good Christmas and New Year's, including our listeners out there. So,
yep, definitely. Jim, how many Christmases did you end up having?
I think it was 4.
4 times 3? 12?
No.
No way.
Yeah, it was 4.
On the 12th, Kruger Christmas.
Such a jerk.
Hey, we got a good show for you guys tonight. We have a guest, and we're looking forward to bringing him on and seeing how much he can make fun of all three of us. So
he'll do a good job of that.
Yeah, he might take some pressure off of me. So, Ben, you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah. So a few years ago, in a playoff game, a lot of times we'll get maybe a first or a second round game with a younger or newer official to kind of help, mentor them in a game and just kind of give them a good experience. And so we were fortunate enough to work with Brent Behrens. And I think he's been reffing a few years yet, but we've used him as kind of our super sub this year when either Jim or Casey can't be with us. And so I'll kind of let him explain his career and where he's been at, but we're happy to have Brent on tonight. And Brent, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. It's certainly an honor to be a part of a Iowa Podcast Award nominated show. I've never been on a podcast that was nominated for an award before. So,
have you ever been on a podcast before?
No.
Thanks for the recognition then.
But yeah, no, that Ben, yeah, I was thinking about that. It was a number of years ago. I think it was you and Tim Osterhaus, and we had the first couple rounds together, and yeah, I mean, I think that was my second or third year getting some postseason action, and so it was a good opportunity to learn a lot and everything, and I certainly did learn a lot from Tim. So
that was so predictable. I knew that was coming, Brent. Well, if most of our listeners out there know us pretty well, I think as you can see already, Brent's a pretty good fit with us, and it's always fun to have him on the crew at night. So we appreciate you joining us. Brent, tell us, how many years you've been reffing, your past kind of crew and things like that, just to kind of give everybody a sense of how you got here, I guess.
Yeah, so I've been reffing for about 8-9 years. Really kind of. I needed something to do. First off, my wife, she coaches track and cross country in high school. She's a teacher herself, and I get antsy. I need something to do. So I was kind of thinking about it, and I heard on the radio that there's needing officials, and I've always thought about that in the back of my mind. So I was like, why not just kind of jump in and do that? It was a great fit. I'm so glad I've been doing it, and it turned out to be a great choice there. So now my wife's got the fall and spring, and I have the winter. And so with us now having 4 kids, it seems like I get revenge on her for leaving me during the fall, but then she comes right back and goes to track. So then I got to handle all of them there. So
nice. That's good. So what you want to give a shout out? I mean, like Chris Mars, and I know he's a listener, or tries to be. You want to tell us about your last crew and stuff?
Yeah, so for like the last, I would say about the last 3.5 years, pretty solid there. We had a crew, or maybe 4, with Chris Marzen and Paul Weiss. I actually went to college with Paul, but didn't know that he officiated, and then I actually officiated my first varsity game was with Chris, and he messaged me after that, and we were up at Roland Story, and emailed me and said, hey, I like the way that you're calling plays, and would love to do more games with you, and I think that we'd be a good fit there. So that gave me a little ego boost being in year 1 and first varsity game. Like, all right, I got this down apparently. So I just never told him how long I've been officiating. I was like, absolutely, let's do this. Let's get some varsity games. And then we tagged Paul on there eventually, and a lot of fun few years. And now Chris left us both. He moved down to North Carolina. So I didn't think that were that hard to deal with, but apparently we were. So
I agree with him.
Appreciate that, Jim.
I mean, he could have just moved like one state away, but he went clear to North Carolina. I mean, he's like, I'm getting the hell out of here.
He likes extremes. Yes.
So I see you have a Cyclone shirt on. Did you go to Iowa State, Brent?
I did go to Iowa State. Yes.
I'm glad we're going here.
Did you play some kind of major role in athletic events?
No, more like a sideshow.
Well, I mean, whatever you want to call it, but
a sideshow spelled CYDE.
Yeah, there you go.
So go ahead, tell us.
Yeah, all 4 years. Well, I knew I was going to be going to Iowa State, and I played sports in high school, but knew I wasn't going to be good enough to play them in college and everything. But figure I was going to be going to the games anyway, and so I thought, well, what if I tried out to be Cy? So I had a little bit of experience when Carol went to state my senior year for boys and girls. I asked the cheer coach, I was like, can I be the Tiger on the girls' road to state? She said, sure. And eventually they went to state, and the Des Moines Register interviewed me because how energetic and everything I was, and I was like, must be doing something right. So tried out, got on the squad, and did all 4 years. And like I said, I was going to be at the games anyway. I might as well have a whole lot of fun with it. And anytime I get a chance to make people laugh or kind of make their day. And the years I was there, I would say it wasn't really worth a darn in anything other than women's basketball. So they kind of needed Cy to boost their spirits a little bit there.
That's awesome.
Yes, it is.
We've been trying to tell some coaches that are friends, out there that to call you Cy when they see you, but you couldn't talk as Cy, right?
No, my family is still really surprised the fact that I was able to stay quiet for that long.
Us also.
Yeah.
Hard to believe.
But once you put the head on, it just it's almost like a little mask. You don't even anticipate talking or anything there. So yeah.
Was that football only, or was it basketball and stuff too?
All sports other than like track or golf. Probably don't need people at golf, but yeah, I mean, did hockey for a couple of appearances, and
really,
and yeah, people would pay for Iowa State or for Cy to show up there, and then had the pleasure and honor to do the Capital One Mascot Bowl my senior year, and
that's right.
Do some commercials and Today Show, Jimmy Kimmel, and it was a great opportunity.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've been on bigger things than Three Blind Refs podcast, obviously.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I humble myself.
Not very often.
Obviously, I've tumbled down from my peak. Now that I'm here, yeah.
Well, let me tell you this, guys. With Brent being Cy the Cyclone, he got more field time than I ever got.
Oh, that's funny. You were in the locker room, though, down at Texas. You were telling me a story about being by the kicker with. Didn't McCarney invite you in?
Yeah, in Texas, there's no place for me to change, and McCarney always took care of the mascots. Anytime we walked in, we'd be carrying two giant red bags, and he'd take time to get out of his office and kind of chase us down and thank us for what we do, and which he was just a classy guy. But Brett Culbertson, the past Iowa State kicker, he actually lived on my floor, so I knew him pretty well. And Dan said, "Hey, why don't you just change with us?" And okay, I'll go ahead and do that. So I was looking around the locker room, and I'll try to find some familiar face. And apparently, no one wants to change by the kicker. So I buddied up next to him. So he's putting on his pads, and I was putting on the suit, and he put on his helmet. I put on my head, and then he stopped. He's like, I can't handle this. I need to leave. This is too weird. Didn't like getting dressed next to a big, giant cardinal. So,
that's funny. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, let's Brett, we're just gonna have you tag along tonight. We're gonna kind of talk about the last few weeks, and we got some Fools rules to go over here. So kind of like we've done with Casey last time, we're just going to have you tag along, and we're going to make fun of you at some point, and I'm sure you'll give it right back because that's what you do.
Absolutely. Try your best.
So here we go. We've got like a month of games here, even with the breaks here that we're going to go back through. So let's start all the way back on December 19th. Sam and I ran down to Mount Air in Southwest Valley, and we needed a sub, so we ended up with Ethan Gordon that night again, and that was a fun night. It's always good to see Scotty Giles down there, AD, and we're going to bring him up here in a second too. But they always treat us so well down there. They have cones for us to park in, and student ambassadors come get us and take us to our room, and just the bag of food, and then they have their student ambassadors write us a little note, which I keep every time. So it's always great to go down there. Probably one of the most one of the nicest places to go, where they really take care of us, and honestly, the pay is some of the best in the state for the level of school. So that's pretty good too. So no complaints there. But so shout out to Ethan Gordon there. Sam, anything to say about that night?
No, like you said, Ben, it's always fun, going to see Scott, and we know we're going to get treated well and fed well, and no complaints.
Brent, weren't you just down there too?
Yeah, I was just down there on Monday there. So it was, but like you said, Scott he just really takes care of you really well, and he was actually officiating the game before ours, the JV game. So I got to see him running up and down the court, and he let me know how much he was his legs were not ready for on Tuesday to be with you guys, but yeah, and he's also an evaluator. So, I mean, it's just great to always just get feedback. Anytime you can get feedback and kind of find out what you're doing with, that subconsciously, or, those little mannerisms that they always do, they aren't always aware of. He points them out, and that's a great help.
Yeah, for sure. I missed this a little bit ago, but Chris Marzin is listening.
I think their quality just went down with him moving down there, though.
Love it.
Oh.
So then, right, our last game there before Christmas was the 20th and we were at Indianola, Norwalk. That was us three, the three blind refs. It was an interesting night. Norwalk girls were rated and kind of did their thing in the first game. The second game was challenging, to say the least, because there were lids on both buckets. I think it ended up 37-32 that night. And yes. I know at least one team shot like 20%. So those are tough nights, I think, for officials. Even when the teams are struggling, it can make us make us feel maybe like we had bad games, but you can't. What do you say, Jim? Can't polish a turd.
I have said that before. but, anybody that's watched a game like that, when it's 37-32, and we're talking 4A boys basketball, that means that there's a lot of shots not going in. So we have a lot of rebounds, and we have a lot of action on rebounds. So there's something going on all the time. It was not the easiest game in the world to ref.
Yep, for sure.
Agreed.
For sure. Just keep grinding through those games, guys. I mean, they're tough, and because the points aren't coming, it makes every call seem like it's a bigger call than normal too. Even though we have all sorts of those calls in normal games, but it's tough. So
that's a good point.
So that was kind of the end of our games for 2024. On the 31st, we did do some scrimmages over at Norwalk again for their girls, and that was a long morning. 6 games. Was it 25-minute running clock and just 5 minutes in between? And Jim and Brent, you joined me there. Jim, you didn't join us the whole time, but
no, I took a little break in that. Hydration is important when you're older.
Hydration is always important.
You're good at the dehydration.
Yes.
That was it was a lot of basketball, but it was fun. We got to see Earlham, Exira, Elkhorn, Kimballton, Audubon, Van Meter, Eddyville, Blakesburg, and Nevada, I think. Although we may have taken that Nevada game off, I think, if I remember.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but that was a good quality 3 hours to kind of spend getting back in after holiday shape a little bit, and had some good times that day. So. So then we're into 2025. First game out of the break was the 3rd at Carroll and Bondurant Farrar, and that was me and Sam and Casey, friend of the show, Casey Pelzer. And we always talk about like how there's something every night that you've never seen. I've been doing this 20 years, and there's always something new.
or felt.
Yeah, we had it. We had it that night. Like, so how do we set this up? You know what? Let's just play a video, Sam.
But, yeah.
I think that's the best way.
Okay.
So here we go.
Down the court here, so get it to Malinsky. Tipped away. Looks like
Down goes
call
Anchor.
here is the closest referee was
Listen to the announcers.
there by Miller. So I don't know. What would you say? I think it was going Bondurant's way there. I guess I don't know who got the last hand on it, but I think we'll have to see as we'll kind of step away so they can check on the referee here. So
Oh, a round of applause for Sam.
2:13 left in this first quarter as we step away.
Just an accidental tip by Bondurant here coming off of a Carroll guy. And that ref happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong moment. Looks like he's going to be all good.
He was more worried about who's going to get the ball, who it went out of bounds on, than he was a referee down. Not sure who tipped it last, but referees
I don't know
down
either.
before.
I don't know.
So
They could have called it themselves.
I don't know if you guys can hear that. I want to play the very beginning again too. So Sam would have the whistle there, right? And I'm standing at lead, and it's like it feels like an eternity later. I'm like, we don't have a whistle yet. I better stop this. So
Down the court here, so get it to Malinsky. Tipped away. Looks like no call here as the referee.
That's a crew saving call right there. Stop play. Stop play.
Did you have your whistle out of your mouth? Because it looked like you picked it up and put it in.
maybe I think
Yeah.
I was like
You're
in
probably like-
awe. I'm like, what just happened?
I wish I would have had my whistle out of my mouth.
I'll bet you do.
All right, so I've got a close-up slow-mo of this, and then Sam, you can kind of explain what happened. So here we go.
Look, all you really need to know is that Progressive can save you money without sacrificing quality. You follow?
Look at the lady. Look at the lady in like the third. In like the
That's
third.
flop.
In like the third row. She's in like the third or fourth row with white sleeves. She's like,
Oh, she.
Oh man, that was. I've never been a part of something like that. So Sam, I'll let you take it from here. But essentially, we had Bondurant tips the ball, trying to go the other way, and honestly, great maneuvering to get out of the way of the ball. And then what happened?
what you can't see from the clip is was it number 25? Was that his number 25?
Yeah, I think it is
He reaches for the ball
right there.
and yeah, he reaches for the ball and his hand hits my lanyard. So then I'm biting down on my whistle. Well, the force of him hitting my lanyard pulled my whistle out of my mouth. Well, it actually pulled one of my bottom front teeth. Like it was out at like a 45. And so I go down and it seems like 10 minutes go by and Ben's finally like, hey, what do you got, buddy? I'm like, no teeth.
No, I think how you said it, I said, hey, are you okay? And you're like, I said, what's the matter? And you're like, my teeth.
I literally thought I got one, if not more, teeth ripped out of my head. Like, I seriously thought I did.
And I thought at the time, like, I didn't even think anything about your teeth. I was thinking it looked like maybe you got hit in the head or your knee or ankle came out because the way you were laying on the floor. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, is he dead? I don't
Like a reason more worthy to fall down like that?
Yeah. Because
when I looked at it, it looked like, I mean, it looks like the guy's shoulder goes right into his chin. That's what I thought happened, but I, grabbed onto the whistle.
Yeah, look that up close and personal look.
You
It
have to
looked
see
like a
a move.
non-contact injury, if anything else.
Marsden's comment.
oh, that's fantastic, Marsden.
That's not even the best part.
Oh yeah, tell them the rest.
Yeah.
So I leave. I go to the locker room. Ben and Casey two-man the rest of the half while I'm in the locker room.
I'll circle back to that.
Okay. So I go to the locker room and there's an athletic trainer that walks me back there. And
Steve Shable. Shout out Steve if you're listening.
And
Steve's awesome.
And Steve's like, I mean, teeth are really out of my realm. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. I mean, you're an athletic trainer. And like a minute later, there's a knock on the locker room door. Door opens, and Steve goes, "Hey, we got a dentist right here." I'm like, "No way! This is awesome!" So I want to give a shout out to Dr. Brian Fleschner for coming to save the day. He came back to the locker room, took a look at my tooth, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it looks like it's dislocated." And I was like, "Dislocated like you dislocate a bone?" And he's like, "Yeah, essentially, it just needs to be popped back into place. I can do it here. It's not going to feel the best." And I was like, "Okay, well, let's go for it." So he put some gloves on and pushed on my tooth. I heard a couple cracks, and there it was.
Ouch. Ouch, ouch.
And I came back for the second half, kind of like the movie Gladiator. Not everybody would have finished, but I did. I did.
Oh man.
Oh.
So I didn't even know you could dislocate teeth. Like
I didn't know that either. I learned that. I did not know that.
And on top of that, go ahead.
Like my 11-year-old son Carson, he just got braces, and like my mind was going a million miles a minute. I was thinking, great, I'm going to get braces with my 11-year-old son on my bottom teeth. We can have braces together. Well, I didn't know you could just pop it back into place.
That's crazy.
Oh
Yeah.
my.
The other thing, like, people don't really probably understand this, but our lanyards are pull apart essentially.
Breakaway, yeah.
Breakaway, yeah. So in the back, in theory, it should break away, but I wonder if because you were dodging that you just bit so hard that it may have even broke away, but it was still attached to your teeth, and that's why it kind of did that.
Yeah, and I think the force was more towards the whistle than down here at the neck.
Sure.
Have you thought about now going without a lanyard and just the whistle? Brad
thought
Baker
about it,
style?
but I don't think I can. Sometimes I blow my whistle too hard and it flies out of my mouth. I mean,
I know. There's no way I could do it.
Yeah. The NBA, a lot of the NBA people do that, and even some NCAA officials.
Yeah, I watched the Iowa State Kansas game tonight, and Kip Kissinger is still doing it.
Yep. But it's hard. It's like anything. You've been trained so many years to do it that way that it's hard to change. I remember way back early in my career, like my lanyard broke in the middle of a quarter, and I had to hold it. And it's just like you're saying, my first whistle, I blew it out onto the floor, and it would be quite an adjustment. But you did switch to a smaller whistle, right?
Yeah, I had to for the next game. That happened on a Friday. The next Tuesday, I had to use a mini because I had to blow out the side of my mouth. And the first the first sub I tried to call in, whistle in, it was like, oh.
Come on in.
Little tender.
So to be clear, you missed a little bit over of a quarter, but your legs and eyes were just fine. But your teeth, it was only your teeth. So you missed that much time for your tooth.
Have you ever blown a whistle without your teeth, Brent?
I don't think I'm going to try.
And now all of you guys out in podcast land know why Brent fits in very well with us.
Yeah. He's an asshole too.
He is a smart ass.
I appreciate Drew Shipley's comment. Thank you, Drew.
Yeah.
All my sympathy is for your partners, leaving them high and dry doing too much.
Well, all right. So
they were fine.
So let's talk about that for a second. So when Jim started in 1900, that they used to use 2 men officiating, and honestly, my first, I think, year and a half. Yeah.
Yep, like that one.
So I hadn't done 2-man mechanics forever. So, we were obviously sympathetic to you, and we're like, hey, you got to go, get out of here. We'll figure it out. So honestly, like I knew enough to kind of know where I was supposed to be mostly, and nobody else in the gym was going to know. So Casey and I just kind of made it up as we went. But like it took like half that second quarter for us to remember, oh crap, I have to look out here by the 3-point line, even when I'm at lead under the basket, because I have responsibility there. So it was just like, I'm sure we missed a bunch of stuff, but honestly, like the entire crowd and both coaches were like perfect. I've never heard a gym so quiet in my life, because I think they were just understood the moment of like, oh shit, Sam is hurt and these 2 idiots have to do this by themselves. So
it's funny. It's funny you say that, Ben, because I come back in the second half, and you talked about how the crowd was very understanding. Well, I make a call in the third quarter when I come back, and there's a fan that says, "That's terrible. You need to go back to the locker room." How rude! My tooth about fell out of my head.
And wasn't he over there by the mom that was going like this?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Well, I had some coaches in the conference and that say, oh, they liked the game better when it was a 2 refs in the game, because it just didn't seem as much was called. And I'm like, yeah, the reason you like the 2-man, because you got away with stuff on the weak side, people pushing each other, elbowing, so you didn't get those cheap fouls. Like you push kid 2 hands in the back and we get the foul, and you don't like that. But so 3 is much better on the court than 2. We're telling you that right now.
Honestly, shout out to you, Jim. For taking a break during the Norwalk scrimmage. So Brent and I worked 2-man, so I had a little bit of experience before
I was helping you guys out.
Yeah, that's a premonition.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, part of
I
that,
have ESPN.
Part of the reason Jim needed a break probably
That's terrible. Sorry, Sam, go ahead.
I was just going to say, part of the reason Jim probably needed a break is because he's 59 and 363, 365th.
Thank you. I appreciate you telling everybody that.
Jim, are you repping on your birthday Friday with us?
I am.
Your 60th birthday.
Wow.
Yes.
No place you'd rather be.
Yeah. Yep. Started repping when I was 20, and now I'll be 60. I haven't reffed for 40 years. I've coached some basketball in between those stints, but yeah.
Full.
Now, Jim, I can't remember on an earlier podcast. So is there a reason that you're retiring other than your obvious other than your
You didn't even get it out.
other than your obvious geriatric state? Is there any other reason?
Well, the reasons that I am, the biggest reason is I have 7 grandkids, and they're getting to the ages where they're going to start playing doing some activities and so forth, and I don't want to miss any of that stuff. And it is the problem of sometimes getting in shape and getting ready at almost 60 is different than it was at almost 40 or even at almost 50. So I'm just kind of ready. Sometimes you just know. Just like I thought I was going to coach softball for many more years, and then all of a sudden it was just kind of like it hit me. It's like it's time to be done. So and I always say to people too, I don't want to be that guy that's out there on the floor refereeing. that someone in the crowd or other officials or coaches are going, man, he should have gave this up 5 years ago. And they might be saying it now anyway, but yeah, so I'm just yeah, it's just, sometimes it's time to have an end to something, and this is it. And I'm pretty much I'm okay with it. I mean, I've got to ref with some really great people, excluding Brent.
Oh, Sam and I are included.
Well, yes, so far you are. No, really. I've there was a period of time where after I got into was coaching my daughters in high school, and then I got back into it, and I had zero partners basically to work with. So I was working with randoms every single night, and working usually back then 3 nights a week, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, some Monday, some Thursdays, whatever. I worked with, I don't know how many officials. I should have kept track, but I've worked with, it's got to be around 100 officials or more throughout my career, because in that 15 years, or 10 years of time, there were times where I didn't, in 1 year, hardly didn't work with the same 2 people in that year. Might work with somebody at different places, but it was a different person with them. So, I had a lot of fun doing this, met a lot of people, made a lot of relationships, and I'm glad I did it. And now it's time for someone else. Hopefully get some younger kids to step up.
Well, I hope you get to still be a part of this somehow, whether it's evaluating or, the podcast or whatnot. But thank you, Jim, for being a part of this with us.
Yeah, I hope this is one thing that I've always, when Sam came up with the podcast idea, I thought, man, this is great. We can actually get some good content out there to younger officials, and we can have fun and and laugh at each other, and it's just a good way to get people and bring them into the game and understand it a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. Right now there's 118 people watching us. How crazy is that?
Wow.
So that's probably Brent's family, Jim's family, and Sam's family, but it's fine.
That's about as many people as usually watch the Bengals game all year.
Wait, how are the Cowboys doing in the playoffs?
They're
who's coaching the Cowboys?
They're undefeated in the playoffs.
I heard the Cowboys. Hey, did you hear that the Cowboys were going to rest all their starters week 19?
Yes.
Or
I think
20, yeah.
I think they're gonna do it all the way to the Super Bowl. They're resting them.
Yeah.
Smart.
All right, back to content.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Anything else you want to say about the Carroll night? That was crazy.
It was a blur to me, quite honestly. Wow. I didn't know after, there was talk about Dr. Fleschner taking me to a dentist's office and splinting it. I didn't know you splinted teeth. But yeah, I didn't know how our night was going to end, but it ended at Culver's, which was great. I had to get chicken strips instead of a burger because I couldn't bite down, but it is what it is, I got a lot of other teeth in my head I can use. So
did you ask if they could blend it for you?
Gross.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
It was like 5 minutes before it closed, so we weren't asking for anything. And
they hated us.
Oh yeah, definitely spitting our food that night. But
oh
my gosh, Deason's a Cowboys fan too, Jim.
Ooh. Awesome. Yes.
Goodness. All right, let's move on from that night. The 7th, we were at Gilbert against ADM, and that was Sam and Casey and I. Jim, you've been busy a lot lately at Melcher.
We've had a ton of home games. We had the one right after Christmas break on that Friday the 3rd, and then we had a makeup game on the Monday, and then the 7th we had another home game. So yeah, we've had a lot of home games lately.
Throw in a Christmas and we can't find Jim.
I do want to play one video from the Gilbert ADM boys game. We've again, we spent way too much time on the flop. But I just want to show this video and kind of just have a talking point
Lawrence has
about
been
here.
hot. Yeah, he has. He's had a great game. Yep, looks like
Ash
kick
tried
it
to
out.
take a charge.
There's Fisher down in the
Gets his own
rejected,
rebound.
but yeah, Lawrence has been hot.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
watch
he
that
has.
again.
He's had a great game. Yep, looks like
So those are the type of plays that are difficult. Do we have a block charge? Do we have contact that's not illegal? Do we have a flop? And one of the coaches that night was looking for flops on that kind of play. I guess my opinion was there was contact there. I didn't feel like it was illegal, and I don't necessarily think it was a flop because there was contact. In my mind, a flop is coming when we're kind of acting without contact. I guess that would be my take on it a little bit. But thoughts on that?
Well, I think that particular play, if you stop it, and call a flop, then, I mean, look how the play ended.
Right.
You take away an advantage, possibly. So either stop it and call the flop warning, take it out of bounds, or you let it play through, and they end up scoring on the possession. I mean, what do you want?
Well,
Yeah.
if it's defensive, though, you don't pull the whistle until the
Right.
change of possession or the ball goes in the basket.
Right. So you're going
That's
to
fair.
continue that play anyway. You're going to have a delayed call there on that.
Ash
That's
tried to
fair.
take a charge.
So then
there's Fisher down in the
Gets his own
rejected,
rebound.
but he's had a great game. Yep, looks like
Yeah.
So then why call it after?
Well, yeah. I mean, either I don't know. We've talked about it so many times. Either let's just call a block on it if there was contact. But you look at that over and over, and was it illegal contact?
I don't
was it
think it
incidental
warranted anything.
contact? No. I mean, the kid's moving backwards. There is a little bump. He goes on the floor. Maybe he was trying to get a foul, but I don't like. I mean, I don't mind the no call on that at all.
Yeah, and I don't-
kind of
Go ahead.
no those kind of calls. And we just had one last night at BCG. Like those types of situations, I would much rather talk to the player and and tell them what I saw and try to coach them out of it, because I'm sure a lot of coaches would rather the officials do that than do the warning and then the technical and go that route. Just like when we talk to players and tell them, hey, if your screens are quite wide, narrow it up, otherwise you're going to get a foul next time. I'd much rather do that than stop the game, do that. And I feel like basketball at this level is it's a learning experience for the players. Sometimes they don't even realize that they're doing it, and sometimes they just need to also, if they're doing it on purpose, they need to know that we see it and we're not going to tolerate it. This is your one warning. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
warning before the warning, I guess.
I'll just be 100% honest. Like, I'm not 100% confident on how to administer it or when to blow it dead. So I'm not 100% confident to even implement the flop warning, in my opinion. I mean, that's just me being 100% honest.
Well, and I talking to some other officials in that are come to Melcher and they're asking me about the flop situation and this and that, and I think, and I try to tell them, I said, well, because they act like almost the flop call now is a point of emphasis, and it's not a point of emphasis. It was a change in rule. So I think when they got that in there, too many people have it in their head that it's a point of emphasis. So we've got to call it. We got to clean that up or whatever it is. But it's not a point of emphasis. It is a rule change that if we've got a definite flop, we can give the flop warning. Don't see. I think too many people are looking for it, coaches included, are looking for that flop to be called, and it really doesn't happen very often. Not near as often as everybody thinks it's happening.
Can we give the rule change back?
Yes, please. So just for everybody out there that may not know, the original rule was if you had a flop, it was a technical foul on the player. That was how it was written in the rule book. What this did was say, if you have a flop, now you have this tool to use a warning, a team warning. It doesn't go on the player. And the second team warning then becomes a technical foul. Well, again, it's not a new rule. It's an addition to the rule. And I think in the past, like, you know, kind of like we've talked about, I maybe seen a what I call a true flop where somebody's driving into the lane and the player falls down before the contact and it even happens. That to me is what a flop is in my mind. Right. And at that point, I think we've all kind of said in the past how we dealt with that was right there. We're talking to the player, hey, next time you do that, it's a technical foul, or we're calling a block. And we may probably have that conversation with the coach. Listen, coach, that's a complete flop. Next one's a technical foul. So everybody knows. And honestly, I think that was fine. Now I feel like we're putting too much emphasis on a play that, in my mind, just isn't a huge part of the high school game right now.
Totally agree. It's not a point of emphasis, you know. Like I say, I've had more conversations with officials at coming to officiate a game at Melcher Dallas with the flop call than anything else, and so that tells me that we're worrying too much about that than really probably more important things of the game.
Yeah. Like Brent said, and Ben mentioned it too. Just it's preventative officiating. You know, go to the player, go to the coach. Give them the warning, you know, to themselves. Yeah. And then, you know, if they do it again, then you gave them the warning. That's the technical. Yeah. Yep.
Stay on your feet, take the contact. You know, you can give them one warning on that. And, you know, if they do it again, you know, if there was contact, call a block. Call a block.
I was with you early on, Sam, you know, just in terms of, okay, how do I if I'm going to do it, I want to make sure I'm doing it correctly. And, you know, the union and the I think it's on the association page. They put out that video on how to adjudicate it, and it's a good video. But then they put on essentially a flow chart for offense and defense because it's different. And you know, I paused the video and took a screenshot and printed that off, and I brought that out every time because you know this year, you know, I'm doing a lot of floating with different officials, and when that does come up. You know, a lot of times people think it's one way, but then, you know, I bring that out. No, this is actually the way it's supposed to be done. But hopefully we don't need to do this. You know, and that's kind of my point of emphasis more than anything else. Hopefully we don't need to do this. Hopefully we can talk to the players, get them out of it before it becomes a problem.
Yep. Jamie brings up a good point. It comes across as a point of emphasis because it's always talked about.
Yep. Agreed.
One other thing I'm going to kind of say about that. Let's move on from the flops because I'm tired of it, frankly. The bench at Gilbert, the ladies working at the table were fantastic, and with our new jackets, you know, with the podcast on the back, you know, the official scorekeeper, she was Googling it and looking at it, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to have to listen to this." And I actually got a nice email the next day from another lady, I think, that works with her and sent us a nice picture. I forgot about that. I should have brought it. But anyway, shout out to them. They were great, took care of us. And it was nice to see a little bit of recognition for what we do. So anyway.
Sam, did you confirm with one of the ladies at the table that your jacket is indeed a lady's?
She asked about that.
Actually, Brett, you've got a jacket that is kind of for our fill-ins. Is it also a ladies' jacket?
Yes. I think your guys's was purchased from like Under Armour or Puma, and Sam's and the backups was from like Lane Bryant. In order to,
I think mine came from Temu.
Thank God I got one over on some of you guys my last year.
Thanks for not doing it to me, Jim.
Well, I like you a lot better than Sam, Brent, Casey. I'm sorry.
Hey, we're 45 minutes in here. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and kind of finish what we're doing here. So
okay, sounds good.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa-born, Iowa-aged, Iowa-bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com.
When energy meets precision, anything is possible.
I'm Carter Hawley, the Chief Energy Officer of the Iowa State Cyclones. I'm full of energy on and off the court, but nothing gives me more energy than helping families find their dream home. And that's where Green Beret Realty comes in. They're more than just realtors. They're a team dedicated to getting things right for you and your family, just like we get it right on the court.
No basket. Fouls on the floor before the shot. Out of bounds.
Come on! Can you believe that? You can't take that away from me.
That call was absolutely terrible. Are you guys cautiously trying to be this bad? I mean, does your mom not love you?
Have you seen how old my partner is? My back hurts already from carrying him all night. And I've heard enough out of you.
So you're gone. Fine.
Jim, are you blind? Basket's good. We've got a three-pointer. Sometimes it takes a team to get the call right. And when you're buying a home, you want a team that makes all the right calls. That is Green Beret Realty. And here's the best part. When you buy or sell a home through Dan at Green Beret Realty and mention this ad, he'll make a donation to the We Will Collective, helping student athletes like me thrive on and off the court.
That call's so easy, even we can make it.
Green Beret Realty, because getting the call right means everything.
Always makes me laugh.
I can't.
I'm glad you guys didn't spend any money on acting classes because you guys are naturals.
Thank you, Brent. That means a lot.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Had we thought it through, maybe we could have had Cy there.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, our budget isn't really large here.
No.
Also, the Gilbert ladies did point out, as we're officiating with our logo on the back of our jackets, that we are supported by a distillery.
It's fine.
It's fine.
We're not promoting them. We don't have it on our jacket.
We do have it in our glass, however.
Oh.
All right, let's continue down our. We got 3 more games here to go over. So the 10th, shout out to Chuck Britton for sending us to Dike, New Hartford, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump from here.
Minnesota.
I joke because it was a great night.
It was.
The superintendent now is Justin Stockdale. And for a lot of you officials out there, you've probably heard that name. Justin was a long-time ref and was fantastic at it. And in fact, he's a 2020 Iowa Girls Coaches Association Hall of Famer. So knows what he's talking about. And obviously, Dike New Hartford has had tremendous success the last few years in girls basketball. I think they won 4 in a row, and in volleyball, I think they won 3 of 4, if I'm not mistaken. I think they lost in the final in the other one. So I want to show a picture. I didn't take a picture of the floor, which is terrible of me, but I did find one from the feed here. But I want to show this gym. I got to be honest, guys. I think this is maybe one of my favorite gyms now that we've been there.
I agree.
Yeah.
I wish we had a little bit wider, bigger picture, but you can kind of see the light floor and then the dark out of bounds and the dark lanes. And there's seating and bleachers on all 4 sides, and it's pretty big. and there's space. You can see kind of between the out of bounds and the bleachers, there's space. And they have the chairs, you know, for the players and coaches to sit on, and they are not in the out of bounds space. So it doesn't take any of the space that we use. So like Justin and the people he worked with really thought that through and made a fantastic gym to work in, I think. So
that's a sharp looking floor.
It was nice.
Yeah,
I mean,
very, very classy.
I mean, if you look on the sideline over here on the right side of the bench there, you might see the back of the chair down there possibly.
Yeah, yep.
You don't even see the chairs because they're off the floor so far that you don't have to worry about stepping on somebody's foot or the coach being right on you. It was a nice place to work.
For sure. The other thing, and there was no sound that I could find on the video. This was just kind of a nice thing. Before they even announced the teams, they announced us as officials and had, you know, some places have a nice speech about sportsmanship, blah, 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 that nobody listens to. But they actually said, you know, thank you for your time and your travels. Let's give the officials a round of applause. And the whole gym clapped for us. And I thought that was cool as heck. And I really thought, you know, that's something. I think a lot of schools should use that because it was cool as heck.
Yeah.
So,
I've been at a place where they asked for a round of applause for officials, and you could hear the two people.
Well, you weren't with us that night, so that's probably why the whole gym clapped.
True.
I do have a tendency of bringing people down, but I mean, those floors and gyms. That's where I kind of really geek out. Of every school, like each school has their own kind of character, and their gym. Each gym is absolutely different, and that's one thing I love checking out there. So now I kind of want to go up to Dyke, New Hartford. I mean, it's a trip, but I totally do schools.
Well, totally Chuck, you heard it. Send Brent.
That's right. It was worth it, Chuck. You can't send me there next year, so go ahead.
Please do it on a Friday. Please on a Friday.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. That was a good night too. Gladbrook Rhinebeck was the opponent, and I think their girls were ranked, and it was just a fun night. I think they're kind of rivals, so it was competitive, and it was just a fun night, and appreciated Justin's feedback afterwards, and so it was great to go for sure. So I wanted to add that comment here real quick from Jason Ogden,
Molten Udell's girls coach.
There you go.
That would be nice. Yes. Thanks,
That's
Jason.
a great idea. Yeah, for sure. We ought to do, Jim, don't you have like a list of like the 10 most missed calls or misunderstood calls, right?
I believe so. Yes, I do. Yeah, we
just make sure that the Revelton Distillery logo is at the bottom.
Here, take my card.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, nice. Somebody wants me. Yes, that's nice.
Not many.
All right, let's.
Chris.
Chris sets the standards real low. That's really what that is.
Oh, I was going to show one more thing here. Again, I didn't take a picture, but I did find this. They had added on to their weight room at the time of this too, and it was fantastic. I know that doesn't really do it justice, but it was cool as heck to see, and just the sport they have for their athletics is tremendous. So
the attention to detail in that weight room was awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. And the rules about the logo has to be up
at 12 o'clock.
The logo has to be at 12 o'clock. If one's out of place, that doesn't fly.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you know, it's the little things, and they've been great in athletics, and it starts in the weight room, and they're a prime example of that.
For sure. Yep. For sure. All right. And then this past Saturday, Jim and Brent and I, Sam didn't join us. He was chasing kids in Pella, I think, that day. We were at Central Decatur versus Davis County. I do have a couple videos from this, Brent.
Awesome.
Can't wait.
How do you feel your day went?
It started off good. I was the only one smiling out of all three of us.
You were
in a very chippy, happy mood there for a long time. So
I would say the first game was a little bit rugged.
Yeah.
Just had a lot of. It was a little gross. How about that?
Yeah, and a lot of too many questions.
Yeah.
Or comments.
Yeah. So I wasn't having the most fun I've ever had. But then we get to the boys' game. Boys' game at least had some flow.
Yeah.
But somebody got angry who was happy before.
Man, punch that thing out there. Ammo.
Let's watch that again.
Oh, yeah. I wish we had that in slow-mo.
I know. I wish we had a close-up.
Wham!
Did you throw your arm out?
How does your shoulder feel?
That was a little aggressive, I guess.
Woo!
He must be a South Pole elf.
Now, context is an important thing in this situation. I'm a happy cat on the court until players' behavior starts going south and there is a potential for a fight or injury because of very aggressive fouls.
And that was very aggressive. That was like a slap almost.
Well, there's one call that I had that I was contemplating doing an intentional. But I mean, he was going for the ball, but it was it came out to be just a hard foul. And I watched that over later on there too. But I mean, this was a situation where one team they didn't care if they fouled. They didn't care if they fouled out. And I don't like to play in those games because it muddies it up, makes everything look bad. And that's a trigger.
It turned into a very aggressive mechanic.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, it was.
All right, so I might have the next play on video as well. So this is literally the play after you were angry.
That's literally the next one.
It doesn't have sound, but Jim, you can kind of
narrate it. You want me to narrate it?
Absolutely, I do. All right, here we go.
I got a foul!
So
oh, we laughed about that in the locker room. My stomach hurt.
So Brent's back here at trail, way away from this play, still angry. And clearly we do have a foul.
I got a foul!
It was like dead silent in the gym, and he literally yells it out. I got a foul!
Now,
I lost my mind. I wish you could see my face.
I wish you could see the next play or a couple plays after that. Because Ben has a foul on the baseline, and I'm in the C, so I come to replace him. I come by him, and I said it not real loud, but loud enough. I said, "Hey, you got a foul, Ben?" It was classic.
I saw that guy go down, and I mean, I had the foul, and that's what caused it. And we have players on the ground, so naturally, all of us are looking there. I looked at both of you guys. Neither one of you guys were looking at me. I'm big on communication. Okay, big on communication.
Clearly.
Want to let you guys know that it's not a travel, not a violation. We're going to be shooting free throws on that.
Yeah, you're good at communication. I think the concession stand people heard it.
I was not self-aware enough to know how loud my voice carried. Yeah.
This is the stupid stuff that we laugh about. Like, it's the stuff that keeps us doing this at night in and night out, right? Like, it's probably the dumbest thing to people that don't know what we're doing, but oh my gosh, it was funny.
Yeah, so this
I
will be
didn't even
something.
Realize it was a thing until we came back to the locker room.
Oh, it was hilarious. So yeah, because Ben and I were having fun with it beforehand, but this will probably be one of those things now that we do pregame. We say, okay, whoever yells "I got a foul," the other two have to buy drinks.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Oh, good stuff.
Pella on Friday. I got a foul!
my gosh.
You two are gonna buy.
Hey, you know, in a game where I get angry, at least I'm still raising engagement. You know,
Yeah,
raising engagement for my
absolutely,
partners.
man.
It's what I do.
It was awesome. We liked it.
It was a hell of a strong foul call. You walked it in.
I mean, after the player control foul, the offensive foul, and then that one, I can't believe you. Like, did you have to go to the
Rotator cuff
chiropractor?
surgery? Yeah, I'm a candidate. Yep.
Phew, man, that had to
You're
hurt.
the one that goes to the chiropractor all the time.
That was the joke, dummy.
Oh,
hey, Jim, you're done.
Hey, if you keep setting it up on the tee for me,
You're
I'm
done.
gonna knock it out of the park.
You're done.
Okay.
Jim's kind of on fire tonight. I mean, he's almost 60, so he better get it in while he can.
It seems like Sam's getting a little sensitive too.
Oh, he's been told that before. So has Ben. I haven't.
There's still time, Jim. I do want to shout out to Zach Clark and Bonnie and Guy down there at CD for taking care of us. I think Bonnie, you know, first off the hugs, but then I think she was in twice with candy bars. We got a bag of freaking awesome cookies from somewhere in town.
Chili's. It was from the pizza place.
It was from the pizza place. All right.
Did you get the pizza?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Another whole pizza that was fantastic. So, yeah, shout out to them for taking care of us for sure.
I saw Bonnie on the following Monday because I had Central Decatur back to back Saturday, Monday, and she waved at me. Well, first she told the Mount Air coaches I was Cy, and she's spreading it. And she waved me down to give me a hug and everything. She's just a sweetheart.
Yeah.
You know what was funny that day? I think that was your first Bonnie hug on Saturday, and you were kind of like,
what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm not a huge hugger, but yeah, I'll hug Bonnie. Yes.
Nice, good stuff.
I'm just always afraid of do I go in, but then they cut me off with it, and then that's awkward.
Do you have some problems?
That's called the fear of rejection.
Did you have some problems in high school with rejection or what?
I've had problems. I've had problems at work. I've waved at somebody and I haven't seen him for a while, like a leader at work, and I put out my hand to shake their hand, but then I realized, wow, they're really far away. So I'm walking with my hand out, and you can't reholster that. You got to just keep it and hold strong. So then you got to run. You got to walk faster and shake it.
That's a very similar walk to the one you had when you had a foul.
Yeah, it was. And Chris Marsden with another comment. Did you have a foul on Monday's game too?
Hardly blew my whistle. I was stuck on C for so much.
Oh. All right, last one. Last night, Sam and I were with Scott Giles. We brought him out of retirement. He's been retired for 2 years. And he worked with us at I-35 against Van Meter. And honestly, it was just great to have Scotty back on the floor with us, and love that guy to death. So had a good night. Yep.
Did he get a hoop in?
I don't know if he did.
Ben did.
I did. I had a big one. I celebrated because Scotty was there, and he would be proud of me for that.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep. So so that was nice to be close to home for a night, and so yeah, that is the longest recap ever, but it's been a fun month of.
Well, it's been a long time too since we've done this, so we had a lot of games.
For sure. Jim, real quick, why don't we do a quick Fool's Rules?
They fooled me, Jerry.
Remember, aren't we going to change that?
Yes.
We're going to change that next time to, I got a foul!
I'm still hunting for the audio, so I'll see what I can come up with.
Okay, so the first one I want to talk about, because a coach came up to me. I'm not going to mention his name, but good guy. And he's talking to me about, he says, can I ask officials questions during the game. And I said, absolutely. I said, we really like questions appropriately, asked to us, because comments are, when you're telling us that's a foul, or that's travel, you're not asking a question, and we can't really give you an answer on that. So he he wanted to first ask because they had a foul, and he was sure it was on a different player of his than who they called it on. And he didn't know that he could go and talk to him. I said, yeah, just go and ask the person who called the foul, is there any possibility that you could talk to your partners and see if that foul was on 15 instead of 2? And they may or may not do it, but, if they say, no, I'm 100% it was on whatever, then they go on. But you can ask them. And then he said he asked the same official about a player control foul. And he said that the defense wasn't set. How many times do we hear that in a game where the crowd yells, he or she wasn't set? The coach will yell it. He wasn't set. And, so we have to talk about legal guarding position. So at some point, the defender has to have both feet on the floor facing the opponent, and that is legal guarding position. After that, they can move backwards, laterally, side to side, and they can have 1 foot off the floor, both feet off the floor, and they still have legal guarding position. And if the offense makes forcible contact, it is a player control offensive foul. We don't have to be set. Everybody thinks that the defensive player cannot be moving at all when the offensive player makes contact. And we hear that all the time. And I think we've even talked about it before, probably last year on the podcast, but we don't have enough people that understand that yet. We could have a player who is got legal guarding position underneath the basket. Offensive player comes driving down in the lane. Kid jumps up, straight up, verticality, and we have a collision. And what are we going to hear from the most people? He wasn't set. He didn't have both feet on the floor. He wasn't set. Well, it's still the offensive player, offensive foul on that. So I think that's one that's it's misunderstood by many people.
It was actually, I assume a lot of our listeners were watching the Iowa State game. I think under 4 minutes to go, there was that exact play. And kudos to Jay Billis for saying he did not have legal guarding position and went against Iowa State. And I thought, wow, that's good that he knows what he was talking about on that play.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yep.
And the other question I get asked on that a lot of times is, how long has that been a rule?
all
Forever?
of the times.
Forever?
It's 1900 when Jim started.
Jim wrote it. Yeah.
The author. If you see the little,
I think the stone tablet's still there when he did it, right?
Oh. So
hey, real quick, Scotty did not have a hoop.
Oh man!
But he also had fun.
That's awesome.
All right, you want to talk about front court, back court, because we've heard about this lately too.
We had this up at Dyke, New Hartford, and I believe it was in the first half. Dyke was, or no. It was in the had to be second half because Glidebrecht was bringing the ball up the floor. Kid steps across the half court line and steps back, and the whole. Actually, no. I'm wrong on that. It would have been first half because Dyke was New Hartford had the ball. And the Gladbrook Rhinebeck crowd went crazy. It was over and back. And we have to understand the over and back rule. There's some different things to it, but we have to have, when we're bringing it from back court to front court, all 3 points, both feet and the ball, must be in the front court before you are establishing front court. If you have an established front court position, we can go back. We can dribble the ball over the line. Neither feet goes over. Come back and dribble in the back court. But we've got, once we get both feet over, then the mid court line acts just like an out of bounds line for the offense. If they touch the line, they go across the line. Then we have an over and back, or what we would say is a backcourt violation. another one on that I'll go through before we kind of want to talk about it is, if we have the offense is taking the ball out of bounds in the front court, throw the ball in, it's touched in the front court by the offense, not possessed, but touched, goes in the back court, the offense can still get the ball, and it's not a violation. And you'll hear that too, where they touched it in the front court and they, went back and get it, and that should be, over and back. It is not. So that's
I think
another
it's
one
good.
that gets misconstrued.
I think it's good to review these two because I've had a state championship coach that may or may not text me till 1 a.m. after I'm kind of digesting the game, asking about that exact play. He's like, I had somebody get both feet over and was still dribbling in the backcourt, and it wasn't over and back. And I'm like, yeah, that's
You're
correct.
right.
So he may or may not be listening right now. So
Awesome. Oh, I think he probably is, isn't he? I mean, I think he's commented once already, right?
he has, in fact. So
the
other, I forgot to clip this play, Jim, but at Dyke New Hartford, we also had a play, again, just to kind of review, where loose ball and somebody grabbed the ball and slid probably 4 or 5 feet. Jim, is that a travel?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Thank you.
So once they dive and it can slide, if they could slide 50 feet on the floor, we have nothing until they stop. It was midnight, Jamie said.
It was not. It was almost 1 a.m.
Jamie knows no time. I don't know if Jamie even sleeps.
So yes, once they stop, then basically they establish a pivot foot, and they can't flip over to their back, or if they're on their back, they can't flip over their stomach, and they can't move their feet. You got to pass the ball from that point, or they could start a dribble and get up from that point, but they can't stand up with the ball, or then we do have a travel. But sliding on the floor is not a travel when you are diving for a ball.
Yep. Thought it was good to review those. Good,
yeah,
good
absolutely,
Jim. Stuff that we're hearing as we continue to officiate here. So, all right. So, upcoming schedule. We're kind of getting to the end here. We'll be in tournament play before you know it. But Friday night, like we mentioned, we're going to be at Pella DCG. Sam and Jim and I, and that will be Jim's 60th birthday. So we hope he makes it through the whole game.
Find out where the AED is, please.
Oh,
we always do.
I already called ahead.
They're gonna have a portable one on the bench for me.
I hope they give you like a Dutch letter
AED.
with a bunch of candles in it. That'd be great.
That's a good idea.
I'll call the tomorrow.
Oh.
Next week is kind of going to be a grinder, guys. We just have 2 games this week, so that's nice. Monday, Norwalk Carlisle girls. That'll be a rated matchup. That'll be a grinder for sure. So looking forward to that. Sam and Jim and I. Tuesday, Roland Story, Nevada. That's Sam and I, and Jim. Well, any listeners out there, we need a substitute for Jim if at all possible. Brent, I'm assuming you have a game.
I do.
Yeah, this is. I really didn't look at my schedule very well. It's our senior night at Melcher Dallas, and
please apply in the comments.
And I really need to be at that game to for senior night. I'm kind of the one who runs that. So yeah, if you don't have a game that night, please let us know.
Which brings us to our next point, making sure that we have reliable partners that maintain their calendar and know when they're available and when they're not available.
I wasn't thinking
because Missy controls my calendar.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking the 21st would be the last girl-boy game at home. We do have a boys game later on. Then we have the conference tournament. So I just was like, oh gosh, this is our last home game with girls and boys together.
You are the AD who puts the schedule.
I know, but
together.
Yeah. So Mountain Time, Jamie.
I was right. I remember specifically. So Friday that week, we're going to Iowa Falls Alden against Algona. Jim, thanks for joining us. And then Saturday the 25th will be it's going to be at Audubon. It's Exira, Elkhorn, Kimmelton, Audubon. versus Van Meter, girls only at Audubon. And I believe that's Jim and Casey and I.
Well, boy, that Friday and Saturday would be 2 short trips for me.
Yeah, you just want to spend the night?
I probably am going to have to.
Excellent. The following week, Tuesday, Norwalk versus Pella Christian. Sam and Jim again. And then hopefully the 29th, we'll be back with the podcast if we've made it through that kind of string of games. So anyway, any closing thoughts?
Brent, appreciate you being on with us tonight.
Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun. An honor.
Thank you, Cy, for joining
Thank you.
us.
Yes, absolutely, Brent. We, like I said, Brent does, even though we're going to give him all kinds of crap, Brent fits in very well with our crew. And so
I think it would only be fitting for Brent to send us off with the Iowa State fight song.
On that note, I'm going to end the stream now. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Brent, just hang out.